Hello, my name is Roberto Aguo, and I teach Spanish at the Global Studies and Languages Department at MIT. I am going to talk about my experience using Annotation Studio in a third semester Spanish class. I came to Annotation Studio at a time in which we were phasing out one of our textbooks, and what drew me to Annotation Studio were three things. First, it is open and free. Second, it allows me to integrate media and text. And it also, by having students annotate and read peer annotations, had the potential to contribute to much more dynamic class discussions. What were the pedagogical goals that I was trying to achieve by adopting Annotation Studio? Well, first of all, I was trying to help students develop reading and writing proficiency in the target language. One of the differences between using Annotation Studio in a literature class and using it in a foreign language class is that in the foreign language class, you have to help students understand the text before you can get to analyze it. And so the way we do it is by basically designing tasks that advance students from basic objectives like creating glossaries or paraphrasing to mid-level objectives like applying new knowledge, finding evidence, identifying themes, analyzing the use of language, and eventually to higher-level tasks like shaping and defending arguments, writing essays, using evidence from the text, and so forth. And Annotation Studio allows me to use one single platform for most of these tasks. A second goal was to turn reading assignments into a communicative act. I say that it's communicative because the student is producing writing in the target language. The students are also communicating with their peers because they're reading each other's comments. And they're also communicating with me since everything that they write is visible to me. Which takes me to my last goal, which is to introduce an element of accountability in preparation for classwork. What you see on the screen now is a story by Argentinian writer Marco de Nevi called Esquina Peligrosa. And it showcases how having students use evidence from the text and engage with each other's comments contributes to much more subtle and deeper discussions than one would typically get in a third semester class. We normally spread this reading over 2 days. The first day we basically try to understand what happens in the story, in which basically a tycoon feels the urge to visit the store where he used to work as a delivery boy in his teenage years, and who, upon entering the store and finding it unchanged, seems to transport himself, quite literally, to his days as a humble delivery boy in a working-class neighborhood. By the end of the first day, students typically arrive at two competing interpretations. They either recognize an element of fantasy in the story, or they think that the tycoon is the invention of a boy who is daydreaming about his future while bored at his work. So for the following day, for the following class, I have students reread the story, find supporting evidence for their interpretation, use the tagging function to identify which interpretation they are defending, and make their comments visible for other students to read. And in class the following day, students compare and debate their interpretations by making references to the original text, but also, crucially, to each other's annotations. And I have to say that the depth and subtlety of analysis that they arrive at is quite remarkable for this level. On the screen now you have student annotations to a short story by Borges, El Episodio del Enemigo, and I have selected it to show how students can interact and manipulate the text. You will notice right away that there is a missing word at the bottom of the screen, and that missing word contains the key to understanding the whole story. It's what the narrator does to save himself from the threat of an old enemy who has finally tracked him down in his house and who is pointing a gun at him. For this reading, in addition to a number of other tasks, I have students read the story carefully and make a prediction about the ending. Then students select the gap, write the prediction as a publicly visible annotation, and by choosing the same piece of text, all annotations are displayed as a thread, so that allows students to read each other's comments as well. The following day, in class, students discuss and defend their prediction, and we proceed to check the predictions by watching a short film adaptation of the story. What we do next is form groups of three or four students and do a live annotation session. Using one computer per group, I ask students to reread the text and look for clues that announce the ending. And finally, I have chosen one last reading to showcase briefly how Annotation Studio, as a multimedia platform, allows the integration of media and text in a way that is germane to the understanding and analysis of the original text. I'm showing a fragment of a poem by Nicolas Guillen, Saint-Semaillard, which has sort of a ritual chant rhythm to it. And what I did was to embed a recording of Guillen himself reading his poem, and which enhances students' appreciation for the rhythmic patterns of the poems, his use of language to create rhythm, and the Afro-Caribbean roots of the poem's music. The students are then directed to 3 different musical adaptations of Guillen's poem, and I asked them to reflect on how rhythm from the original text is conveyed in the different musical adaptations. Video annotation is not supported yet, so what I asked them to do is to select the text that introduces each of the videos out for their comments. Thank you very much for listening.